Hi guys, and welcome to my Doctor Who tier list. Yes, I'm back with one of my tier list videos. I really enjoy doing these. And yes, since it's a very good time to be a Whovian, to be a Doctor Who fan, going by the recent news and news of the last week or so, yes, I figured let's do a Doctor tier list where I'm going to grade, rank, and put all of the numbered Doctors we've seen into a tier list. This is something I wanted to do for a while as a big Whovian, as a big fan of Doctor Who. And yes, here we are. And I figured what I really want to do this, with the news breaking today that Catherine Tate and David Tennant will be returning for the 60th anniversary. Big news for next year. Of course, the new casting of the 14th Doctor with Nkuti Gatwa will be portraying the 14th Doctor. Yes, a black actor, a very young, talented black actor from Sex Education. If you've seen that show, I love it. He plays the lovable character Eric, and he will be playing the Doctor after Jodie Whittaker, which I'll talk about once I get to the end of the tier list. But it makes me very excited for the future of Doctor Who. We're under the writing of Russell T Davies, so I think the future's looking very bright for Doctor Who after we've had to put up with several disappointing years with Chibnall and Jodie Whittaker. So, but without further ado, let's begin my Doctor Who tier list. Now, bear in mind, guys, this is my opinion. I'm sure we all have different. This is just my opinions and my thoughts on each of the numbered Doctors. I'm sure yours will be different, but this is just my opinion. So just sit back and relax and see what you think. So yes, let's start then with where it all started. No Timeless Child. This is where Doctor Who started. Yes, with the first Doctor back in 1963 with William Hartnell. Yes, the man who kicked off Doctor Who. And William Hartnell is gonna get an A. Yeah, love William Hartnell. I've only seen a few of his episodes. I've only seen a few Classic Who episodes from each of the Classic Who Doctors. I think Modern Who is my forte is, but I've seen quite a few episodes of Classic Who. But I'm not a massive expert, but I do have a basic general knowledge of each of the old classic Doctors. But yeah, William Hartnell, I thought he was great. Considering this is the Doctor, this is the man who kicked off Doctor Who all the way back in the '60s when TV was black and white, and we had all those crap sets, and it just didn't look very good. But it was revolutionary back in 1963, and yet here we are with William Hartnell, and he was great. I think he portrayed such a grumpy old Doctor. He was already a granddad. He traveling around in the TARDIS with Susan on the run from the Time Lords and exploring time and space and yeah, I just loved him. I've seen a few of his episodes. I've seen Unearthly Child. I've seen the one with the Aztecs, the one with the war machines, of course the Daleks. That was cool. And of course his final episode, claiming his final episode with the iconic "One day I shall come back." Yes, I shall come back. That iconic speech. And yeah, he gets an A. Very sadly he passed away a little bit after this, after the '60s. But when he did come, the role did get reprised by David Bradley in An Adventure of Space and Time, and of course in Peter Capaldi's final episode, he came back to played by David Bradley. So he was played so well, and yeah. William Hartnell, and of course David Bradley, who gets some credit for playing the first Doctor, and of course they had another Doctor play the first Doctor. I think in the Five Doctors, with obviously the first Five Doctors, but obviously they had another actor playing William Hartnell. But yeah, the first Doctor for me, he's A tier. He's not down here. He's not quite up there in the S tier. But yeah, William Hartnell, A tier. Love him. Then on to the second Doctor with Patrick Troughton. Yeah, very very different from William Hartnell. He was just such a crazy younger, just much more energetic, much more boisterous, much more childish. And I think a bit more likable than William Hartnell, because William Hartnell was like a grumpy, stern old man, but yeah, lovable inside. But Patrick Troughton was like a much more childlike Doctor, obviously younger and more silly, but still very serious. Second Doctor, ooh, this is second Doctor's gonna get A. Like I said, I've only seen a few of the Second Doctor's episodes with the Yetis, with companion Jamie, and he is funny. He's a very funny Doctor. Like I just think some of his lines, and Patrick Troughton plays him really well done. I love the bow tie, which obviously Matt Smith went back to with the 11th Doctor. Um, I just really liked him. You know, he was a bit very different from the first Doctor, and something I think we needed after the very stern, tough first Doctor. But yeah, Patrick Troughton killed it as the second Doctor. Um, and yeah, not much left to say. I think he had a good final episode. Was it with War? What was it called? The War Games. Yeah, when the Time Lords sentenced him to a well, sent him back to Earth and made him regenerate. Poor second Doctor, of course, and then he got sent back to Earth and regenerated into John Pertwee. Of course, the Time Lords were not happy with him interfering with other planets and species. So yeah. And then on to the third Doctor with John Pertwee. And me personally, John Pertwee is my favourite classic Who Doctor. I know a lot of people probably have Tom Baker as their favourite, but for me, I absolutely love John Pertwee. And he's going in S tier. Yeah, John Pertwee is going in S tier. I think he played the character so well. I think he was the perfect combination of the seriousness of William Hartnell, but also the funny, goofy side of Patrick Troughton combined into one Doctor. He was the best of both, and I think for me, he's my favourite classic Who Doctor, and I've seen quite a few of his episodes. Like Spearhead from Space's first episode with the Autons. That was good. He had a few run-ins. With the Master. I think it was his Doctor we first met, the Master. The Sea Devils. We met with him. He had a few good Dalek stories. I liked his, of course, with Sarah Jane Smith with under him. And I thought he was great, man. And he was just very funny. A lot of his run with the Doctor was on Earth because he was stranded on Earth by the Time Lords, and he's like with the whole karate, hi with like his karate moves. I loved him, man. He was really good, and he obviously with Bess, his little yellow car. I just think he was such a good classic Who Doctor. But still to this day, I think he's one of the best. Sadly, these three actors are no longer with us, which is very sad. But these three men, I think, were fantastic. The first three Doctors, but of course, this was an episode, wasn't it? The three Doctors wasn't that an episode where where Patrick Troughton and William Hart, well, another actor, but came back and they all had an episode together. The three Doctors, that was cool. But yeah, and I like this final episode with the spiders and the planet, and was it Metabelus 4 or something? And yeah, and with the crystals, and yeah, he had a very emotional regeneration scene with Sarah Jane Smith, didn't he? But yeah, John Pertwee, mwah, for me, he's my favourite classic Who Doctor. And then and then on to probably the vast majority of of Whovians' favourite classic Who Doctor, if you ask them. Yes, Tom Baker, who, as of still to this day, is the longest running Doctor, of course, from 1974 to 1981. He portrayed the Doctor. So, what's that? 7 years? Yeah, that's 7 years he played the Doctor for, which is the longest run any actors had of the Doctor. And for me, Tom Baker, yeah, he gets an S because he was so good. For me, he's not quite as good as John Pertwee in my opinion, but he still was funny. You know, I thought his first episode, Robots, that was hilarious. I think he played the new regenerated Doctor so well. You know, the iconic scarf, the hat, the fuzzy hair, of course, K9. He continued his adventures with Sarah Jane Smith, and he was just a Doctor for so long. He had so many companions, and yet there's just not. He had so many good episodes too. With I think the Sea Devils came back. There's all the Silurians. I've seen quite a few of his robot episodes, with his run-ins with the Master, and he was great, man. And yeah, all the way to 1981 with what was his final episode? Was it Logopolis? Yeah, where and he had a very sad regeneration scene, didn't he? But the Master kind of tricked him, and he fell to his death. And yeah, he regenerated in front of what's Nyssa, Tegan, and Adric to become Peter Davison. But yeah, still to this day, Tom Baker was such a great Doctor. You know, iconic. You know, and I think many people regard him as their favourite classic Who Doctor. And yeah, it sucks he couldn't come back for the 5 Doctors special. They just used some archive footage because of course the other first 5 Doctors were in it, or first 4, but Tom Baker couldn't be in it sadly. But you know, he did come back in the 50th anniversary as the curator, talking to Matt Smith. Gallifrey falls no more, you know, and all that. So yeah, that was cool. Yeah, Tom Baker, S. Then moving on to the 5th Doctor with Peter Davison. Peter Davison's a tricky one, man. And maybe I'm being harsh. I'm gonna give Peter Davison a B. I feel like that is a bit controversial. I feel like some people will probably put Peter Davison up here. But for me personally, I don't know, something about his Doctor just didn't quite click for me. The whole cricket outfit I thought was a bit goofy. I get that's the whole goofiness of the Doctor, with the celery. But, and yeah, I think he had a tough job, to be fair. Following up from the iconic Tom Baker, he had a very tough job, and he did do well. He wasn't a bad Doctor. He's in B tier. I've seen a few of his episodes. The Cyberman episode, Earthshock, I think it's called. I thought that was very good. Um, and I thought his final episode, what was it? The Caves of Androzani, that was good. And his regeneration episode, and the way he regenerated was very honourable. How he sacrificed himself to save Perry. Well, he regenerated, because he didn't have enough of the antidote left to save himself. So that was very honourable. And yeah, he was a good Doctor. I just feel he's not quite as good as the first four Doctors, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion. I know some people will probably put Peter Davison up here, and I did like when they brought him back with David Tennant in that little 10-minute special on the TARDIS. What? And that was really funny. The banter between him and David Tennant, that was really cool. And David Tennant was like, "You were my Doctor." I was like, "Oh, that's nice." Because I think David Tennant said Peter Davison was his favourite classic Who Doctor. So fair enough. Then on to probably what most people regard as one of the weakest Doctors, very sadly. Yes, Colin Baker as the 6th Doctor, and he is getting, he's getting a C. Poor Colin Baker, man. I feel like there was a good Doctor there, and we did see that in snippets, but it wasn't a good time for Doctor Who. I think the ratings were in downfall. During his run as the Doctor, there was I think it was like a 2-year hiatus of the show where there was no Doctor Who, and that really damaged the show. So when it came back, the ratings weren't good, the reviews weren't that very good, and to make matters worse, he wasn't. His Doctor was just a bit of a jerk. The first 5 Doctors they could be serious at times, and they were very heartwarming and very noble and very honourable, but they could be serious when they wanted to, but they had a light side. Colin Baker as the Doctor, the 6th Doctor was just a bit of a condescending jerk. He really was. His first episode, he tried to kill Perry. He was strangling her. I get he had regeneration syndrome and all that, but still, what a way to introduce him as the Doctor. And yeah, his outfit was awful too. What was he thinking with that coat, man? And I feel bad because I think he did have some good snippets. I liked Trial of a Time Lord. I thought that was pretty good, but at that point, I think it was too little, too late, really, for him as the Doctor, because that was during the end of his run, and he was only the Doctor for a short time. I think he was the shortest running classic Who Doctor, if you don't count Paul McGann, which I don't think you do you? So yeah, he was only the Doctor for what, 2-3 years, and it just wasn't that good. So I feel bad for Colin Baker because I think there was a good Doctor there. We just never really got to see it, I think. And then, of course, he fell out with the BBC, I believe, or the BBC fired him unceremoniously. And yeah, for his regeneration scene was stupid. He's just lying there in the TARDIS. And then he didn't even want to come back, so they had to have Sylvester McCoy dress up as him for his regeneration scene. So, okay. But yeah. Then on to Sylvester McCoy with the 7th Doctor. Sylvester McCoy, where we're going to put him? Sylvester McCoy is going to get an A. A. I really like Sylvester McCoy. Doctor Who probably still was on a bit of a decline at this point. Was obviously led to the show being put on hold or put on ice during the end of his run, because Sylvester McCoy was the final classic Who Doctor, like I said, if you don't count Paul McGann, but why would you? Because Paul McGann was the 90s. And I liked him. I thought he was a really good Doctor. He brought kind of like the funny, bubbly version of the Doctor back. He was a really quirky, really funny, like Pertwee and Tom Baker. I liked his companions with I think companions were. Ace was a great companion who, of course, will be returning for Jodie Whittaker's final episode. And I really liked him. I've seen a few of his episodes. My favourite's probably, was it Revolution of the Daleks? What was it called? Something of the Daleks. I think it was. Oh, that's annoying me now. It was a really good episode though. With the 2 separate Dalek factions, and then unlimited rice pudding, etc., etc. He had that iconic speech. And I really like Sylvester McCoy, man. He was a good Doctor, and of course, it was a shame because, like I said, his final episode was what, Battlefields, I think, with the Master. He walked off with Ace, and then we don't see him again till the 1995 Doctor Who movie. Of course, he's the Doctor for the beginning of that film, but then he gets shot by some idiot gangster, and then we see Paul McGann. So yeah, but I really like Sylvester McCoy, man. He was great as the Seventh Doctor, so he gets an A for me. And then Paul McGann, poor Paul McGann. Yes, of course he was the Doctor very briefly, only for that 1995 American-made movie, which was not very good, with the whole half Time Lord, half human bollocks. What the hell was that about? No, that's not canon. It's not canon. Thank you, America. And yeah, it wasn't a great film. Of course, he regenerates from Sylvester McCoy about a third of the way into the film. And he was good. He was a good Doctor, just in a bad film. And Paul McGann, of course, he's from Liverpool, so that's a bit of, I think so was Tom Baker, but he's from Liverpool heritage. So yeah, he's a Scouser, Paul McGann, the McGann brothers, very famous acting brothers. But of course, then he did come back in that little preview to the 50th anniversary. Night of the Doctor, I think it was called, where you see him fleeing from the Time War, but then he eventually dies, and he regenerates into John Hurt's War Doctor. So, and I think that was really good. And I think that he was a really good Doctor. But I'm going to give Paul McGann a B. It's just such a shame we didn't see more of him. He only had for one film and that one 10-minute special. And of course, I know he did come back for audio dramas, but I've never really listened to them, sadly. So, but for that reason, because he had such limited screen time as the Doctor, he doesn't go up here. But I think if he had more screen time, he could have been up here. But right now, Paul McGann is a B. And then we have John Hurt as the War Doctor, because I've got to see him going in chronological order for the timeline. It's the John Hurt. Of course, John Hurt was only the War Doctor in the 50th anniversary episode. Of course, R.I.P. John Hurt, an absolute legend of the screen, one of the all-time greatest screen theatre actors. Of course, he came and played the War Doctor, of course, the Doctor in between, the Doctor who was in the Time War in the 50th anniversary, and he did an absolutely fantastic job. But because we only saw him for one episode, I'm going to give John Hurt's War Doctor a B. He was really good. He was grumpy, but of course he was grumpy and a bit mopey and down. Of course, he was the Doctor during the Time War, so of course he was going to be very upset and down. Of course, he's the Doctor that ended the Time War, basically. He's the Doctor who, boom, presses the switch and destroys Gallifrey, destroys the Daleks, and ends the Time War. So he's a very iconic Doctor. Rumour says they only cast John Hurt as the War Doctor because Christopher Eccleston didn't want to come back for the 50th anniversary, so they had to think quickly and go, okay, we've got the War Doctor as John. But John Hurt did a fantastic job. He was great. The way he fitted into the role so well with David Tennant and Matt Smith in the 50th anniversary. He did so well. And yeah, I think if we'd have seen more of him, maybe because if he was only in one special, maybe he would up here. But because same with Paul McGann, he was only the Doctor for a short time, he gets a B. But yeah, John Hurt was very good. And then on to my boy, moving on to modern era New Who, obviously 2005 onwards. So yes, moving on to my boy, yes, Christopher Eccleston, who is personally my favourite Doctor. Good old Christopher Eccleston, man, who portrayed the Ninth Doctor. Of course, when the show came back in 2005, he was the Doctor. Christopher Eccleston, for me, boom, he gets S. I love Christopher Eccleston, man. He was such a fantastic Doctor. Like he was so good, man. He was the perfect blend of what the Doctor should be. Like I said with the other Doctors who were in the S tier, he was grumpy. He was a bit grumpy because he was recovered. He was the first Doctor post Time War, after John Hurt's Doctor, the War Doctor. He was really recovering from that. What went down. Of course, then he meets Rose. And I just love Christopher Eccleston. He was just such a good Doctor. So many iconic moments. Now, what really sealed it for me is his performance in Dalek. I think it was episode 5 of season 1 of 2001. Doctor Who came back in 2005. Watch his performance in that. My God, he's fantastic. I loved him, man, and I thought he had some great episodes with the Doctor dances, everybody lives, and all that. And his finale, the parting of ways, with the facing off against the Daleks and the Emperor Daleks, and how he sacrifices himself to save Rose with the time vortex, and he was great. And it's the only down point of Christopher Eccleston is that he only did the one season. It sucks, man, that he only did the one season because he had a falling out with BBC, so he didn't come back for a second season. And of course, then David Tennant came in to play the Doctor straight afterwards in season 2 in 2006. It sucks because every other Doctor since Eccleston, boom, 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 they've all done 3 seasons. But Christopher Eccleston just did that one season, but an incredible one season, and it sucks he never came back for the 50th anniversary. To him, Christopher Eccleston was never a big Doctor Who fan, but the fact that he was never big on Doctor Who, it was just really an acting job for him. He was still so good in the role and portrayed such a war-torn, damaged, but still lovable, friendly, funny Doctor who could turn it on and off like that. He was, and still to this day, even though we've had so many other great Doctors, for me personally, he's my favourite Doctor. And I know he's come back and done audio dramas, which I think I've listened to the first. Yeah, I've listened to a few of them, like the little snippets, and they sound great. And I really, 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 really hope he comes back for like a cameo for the upcoming 60th anniversary. Please, 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 please. So yeah, Christopher Eccleston, S tier. Then moving on, we've got David Tennant. Yes, most people's fan favourite as the 10th Doctor, David Tennant. And David Tennant, of course, he gets S tier. David Tennant was so good. He carried the baton from Christopher Eccleston so well. He had, of course, 3 seasons, 3 incredible seasons, season 2, season 3, and season 4. He was just so good as the Doctor. Like, obviously a bit more joyful and a bit more gleeful than the 9th Doctor, but still he could turn it on and be very ferocious and serious when he wanted to be. Of course, he continued his relationship with Rose. They got a bit more closer, of course, with Eccleston. And he was just great, man. David Tennant. There was just such a good Doctor. Season 2 was fantastic. So many good episodes. His highlights as the Doctor, really, I think, were just some of his speeches in Voyage of the Damned. I'm the Doctor and all that. I'm coming from the planet Gallifrey, the constellation of Castabris, and I'm 903 years old and all that. That was great. He had so many good companions with Martha, Donna, Rose, and of course in the specials with Wilfred and all that. He had a really good emotional send-off with the End of Time Part 1 and Part 2, which is probably one of the most sad farewells of any Doctor ever. You know, the End of Time Part 2, even though 12 years ago now, still makes me cry. It's such a sad emotional farewell to, without a doubt, one of the best Doctor Who's. And David Tennant, we bow our heads to you. Of course, he did come back, like I said, for the 50th anniversary alongside Matt Smith. And of course, he is returning for the 60th anniversary alongside Catherine Tate with Donna. So we're going to see more of him, but for those 3 incredible seasons we got with him under Russell T Davies, of course, those were the glory days, really, weren't they? Christopher Eccleston and David Tennant with Russell T Davies, seasons 1 to 4. They were the glory days of Doctor Who. They really were. And of course, moving on to Matt Smith with the 11th Doctor. Oh, this is tricky. Because I really like Matt Smith. I think Matt Smith was a really good Doctor. Okay, Matt Smith is going to get an A. I know that's going to be a bit controversial because I know some people would definitely put Matt Smith up here, and it's tricky. If there was an A+ tier, I think Matt Smith he's like in between. He's just not quite S tier for me at Matt Smith, because I feel like the writing for him is when Doctor Who started to go a little bit downhill. Like, his first season was fantastic. Season 5 is one of my favourite Doctor Who seasons, and Matt Smith had probably one of the, if not the best opening Doctor episode with the 11th hour. Of course, Stephen Moffat was now lead writer after Russell T Davies, and I thought season 5 was fantastic. But then I think season 6 and season 7, his other 2 seasons, is when things started to go a bit downhill, and the storylines got really overcomplicated and over-convoluted, and I don't think it helped him as the Doctor. Of course, he did have great companions with Amy and Rory, who were one of the best companions. Then Clara joined him halfway through season 7 with the Impossible Girl subplot. Of course, he was the Doctor for the 50th anniversary, and he did an absolutely fantastic job alongside David Tennant and John Hurt as the War Doctor. But for me, I just don't know. I just don't hold them as high as David Tennant and Christopher Eccleston. But I think if Matt Smith just had slightly better seasons with season 7 and season 6, he'd be up there. But that's not his fault. You know, he was a really good Doctor. He's A tier without a doubt. He just isn't quite up there for me, which it sucks, because I do think Matt Smith definitely had all the potential to be an S tier Doctor. But for me personally, he was A. But A still very, very, very good. Yeah. And I loved his finale. I think his finale was really good. With, "If you want my life, come and get it." And the whole that with his, what was it? Time of the Doctor, I think his finale was called. Yeah, he had a really good finale, Matt Smith. And then here comes Peter Capaldi as the 12th Doctor, and I'm gonna get some for this, but come at me. Peter Capaldi for me is S tier. Now I can hear everyone going, "How dare you? Matt Smith is A, but Peter Capaldi's S. How dare you?" But for me, I absolutely loved Peter Capaldi as the Doctor. I think he's criminally underrated. I think he doesn't get enough praise as the Doctor, man. Everyone talks about Eccleston, Smith, or Tennant as the glory years of Doctor Who, but I think Peter Capaldi was so good. Of course, he's the oldest actor to play the Doctor. I think he was in his 50s when he got cast after Matt Smith. I think he was a bit older than William Hartnell, but yeah, he really brought that grumpy old man back to the Doctor that we hadn't really seen since, like, well, I never seen John here, but we hadn't really seen since the first Doctor. That really grumpy man who just doesn't take any crap. He's straight to the chase. And I just loved Peter Capaldi, man. That being said, I think what let his Doctor down is the writing. And I know I said that for Matt Smith, but I just think for me, Peter Capaldi was a slightly better Doctor. I just think he was who the Doctor is. That is who the Doctor is, a really grumpy, tired old man. You forget, he's like 2,000 years old. He got to put on a young face when he was David Tennant and Matt Smith. You know, he got to be all young and joyful, but then he regenerated back into an old man. And that's who the Doctor is, this grumpy old man who's tired of conflict, tired of war, and he needs someone to make him fit better, like Clara did with season 8 and 9, like Bill did in season 10. He needs someone with him. But that being said, Peter Capaldi did have a tough time because his first season, season 8, wasn't great. He did have some bad episodes, and was not his fault at all. He did the best he could to make some turds shine in season 8, Peter Capaldi. But I thought season 9 and season 10 were a lot better. I just think he was such a good Doctor, man. And it sucks he didn't have better writing, because I think Stephen Moffat and other scripts did let him down a little bit. Same with Matt Smith, I think. But for me, Peter Capaldi just edges it a bit. And of course, he had some. The reason why Peter Capaldi's S tier is because the Zygon inversion speech, one of the best Doctor speeches in Doctor Who. His one-man performance in Heaven Sent was iconic. One of the best performances in Doctor. He had two of arguably the best performances in Doctor Who, and I just don't think not many other Doctor Who actors have come close to that. Maybe David Tennant in End of Time Part 2. Maybe Matt Smith in Rings of Akaten, but not many other Doctors have come close to that level of performance. And I think he was such a good Doctor. He did deserve better writing, but for me, he's one of my favourites. He's probably in my top 3 Doctors, Peter Capaldi. And it just sucks he didn't have a good enough finale. You know, his finale with the first Doctor, with David Bradley playing it wasn't that good. And then he just regenerates in the TARDIS. You know, after he gets shot by a Cyberman or electrocuted, whatever. But yeah. And then Peter Capaldi, and I really do hope he does come back for the 60th, because he is a big Whovian. Peter Capaldi said he's a massive Whovian, because like I said, he was in one of David Tennant's episodes with Pfizer Pompeii. He said he was a massive Whovian, so I hope he does come back for the 60th. And then moving on to the final two, before I get on to the final two, I'm not going to include Peter Cushing, because that's not really canon. And I know he had a few films, but it wasn't canon Doctor Who. It was like spin-offs. Peter Cushing will probably get B or A because he was good. I don't even know who these two are. Are they audio drama doctors? I don't even know who these two are. I apologise. Are they audio dramas doctors? I feel like I recognise him, but who is he? I don't know. Okay. So yes, then moving on to the final two. So yes, okay. So yes, well, I can't do Ruth Doctor first, can I? I've got to go. Okay. So the 13th Doctor with Jodie Whittaker. And Jodie Whittaker, I'm sorry to any Jodie Whittaker fans out there, she's getting a C. It's just not been a good time for her. I know it's not her fault, mostly. She's had to put up with probably some of the worst writing ever in Doctor Who. You know, Chris Chibnall has not been a good showrunner for Doctor Who. He's had some really bad writing, some really bad episodes, just overall story arcs, the whole timeless child shite that just pissed off most of the Doctor Who fan base. I think most Whovians can agree Chris Chibnall has not been anywhere near as good as Stephen Moffat or Russell T Davies, and Jodie Whittaker suffered for that, because there's a good Doctor there in Jodie Whittaker. We've seen snippets of it in her season 11 and season 11, season 12 and Flux. We did see snippets of it. But there was just too much rubbish scattered throughout it, and her Doctor too. The way Jodie Whittaker portrayed her, it just wasn't that good. And apparently Jodie Whittaker had never done any research on any doctors or Doctor Who. And that just seemed a bit arrogant to me personally. I know Eccleston was the same, but Eccleston was an amazing Doctor. He made up for it, and he had good writing. But I remember Jodie Whittaker saying she wasn't really a fan of the show and she hadn't really watched any stuff before she became the Doctor. And I was like, okay, but yeah, it's just when we look back at Jodie Whittaker's time as the Doctor, I think we're all just going to kind of just move on now and get back to Russell T Davies and start anew with Ncuti Gatwa as the 14th Doctor. So, and she did have some decent companions. I thought Bradley Walsh with Graham. I thought he was great. I thought I loved seeing John Bishop as Dan in Flux, and of course he's still man now. And we'll see what Jodie Whittaker's finale is like. Hopefully she gets a good send off, because as of recording this, Jodie Whittaker's finale has not aired yet. Of course, her final episode. Hopefully it's good. We've got the Masters back, the Cybermen and the Daleks. So hopefully she gets a big send off. Got an Ace is back as well, one of the old classic companions. So I just hope she gets a good send off, because there was a good Doctor there, and I think under a better lead writer, Jodie Whittaker absolutely could have been A, maybe B, maybe even A tier. But she's had such bad writing, man. I can't. It's like probably she's had 2 or 3 good episodes in 3 seasons. That's not good. So she's been really let down by bad writing, and yeah, her Doctor is a bit irritating. It's like she's trying to mix Smith and Tennant in one, and it just doesn't really work. And I find her Doctor quite irritating, to be honest. So, sorry, Jodie Whittaker. So I just hope she gets a good finale, man. I hope she does. Yeah, but to send her off. But yeah, under better writing, she could have been there. But yeah, with Chris Chibnall. Okay, then moving on to the Ruth Doctor, because she is, thanks to Chris Chibnall, she's canon, even though her Doctor makes no sense in the lore. Where the hell does she fit? And it's hard to give her a score, because she's only appeared in a few episodes in season 12 and in Flux. Now, it's been confirmed she's like one of the Doctors. She's one of the Doctors before William Hartnell, but she has a TARDIS. Just looks like a police box. But I thought that only happened when William Hartnell was the Doctor. So my guess is she probably comes in between Patrick Troughton or John Pertwee, but it still hasn't been explained how. But I don't know. But I will say she was good, and I think in her few scenes she commanded the screen, and she felt like the Doctor way more than Jodie Whittaker, in my opinion. So I'm going to give Ruth Doctor a B. I thought, obviously, when she first appeared in Prison of the Judoon, and that mic drop when she opens the watch and her memories come back, and hello, love, I'm the Doctor. And Jodie Whittaker's face, like what the hell? She's got her own TARDIS, and then of course she reappeared in Flux. Of course, she was like the Doctor working for Division, like the secret Time Lord agency. I still hasn't been explained where her Doctor fits in the canon of all the other Doctors. Where does she fit? Maybe we'll get next. Maybe she'll appear again in Jodie Whittaker's finale. But yeah, I thought she was good. She felt more like the Doctor in a few scenes. She commanded the screen more as the Doctor than I think Jodie Whittaker did. And I think personally she should have been the 13th Doctor, not Jodie Whittaker. Sorry, Jodie Whittaker. But but yeah, that's my rating for Ruth Doctor, a B. But and that is my score. That's my Doctor Who tier list for all the 13 Doctors, of course, with the War Doctor and with the Ruth Doctor. So yeah, guys, what do you think? Where would you put these Doctors? Comment below, let me know. And of course, the future is looking bright. Let me just get to him. Of course, with there he is, the 14th Doctor, Ncuti Gatwa. I'm very much looking forward to seeing what he brings to the role. I think he's going to bring a fresh youth, fresh enthusiasm. We've seen in Sex Education what a talented actor he is, and I think under the writing of Russell T Davies, he's going to be phenomenal. So I really am looking forward to seeing what kind of Doctor he's going to be under Russell T Davies, and what he's going to do in the 60th anniversary. Alongside David Tennant. But yeah, guys, I think he has all the makings of an A-S tier Doctor. Definitely under Russell T Davies for me. So yeah, guys. So yeah, thank you all for watching, guys. What do you think of my tier list? Comment below, let me know. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all very, very soon. Bye, guys.